It's a senior-led Moorhead State team, but they dropped a couple early. Are they struggling to adapt to life without Kenneth Fareed?
I don't think anybody would.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. You know, they've played good teams, and they've, if you watch the tape, NC State shot it terrific. I think University of Charleston hit 7 threes in the first like 10, 12 minutes of the game. People have shot the ball really well against them. Sometimes people don't, you know.
You notice the difference in practice, just the fact that a lot of these freshmen are starting to get the system and pick up on things faster?
Depends on which day. You know, it's never very consistent. You know, it's a couple of them will have a really good day one day, and then they won't be as good the next day, and somebody else will be a little bit better. Where KJ, Truck, and Dennis are a lot more consistent. You know what you're going to get from them every day. Freshmen, you just never know. We got to get through that.
You've had 3 games in 7 days to start the year. Do you need a little bit more teaching time, and now that the games get spread out a little bit, does that help?
We can use all the teaching time we can get, obviously, but I mean, you need to play games because we do things because we tell them to do them, and they don't really understand the purpose of it yet. They'll make cuts and never look at the ball. I mean, you cut the score. You know, we'll curl a screen, never look at the ball. You do that to score. And you know, they have a hard time understanding that you do all your work before you get the ball. And, you know, you look at guys that have been great players. Deshaun was a great player, and they did great work before he got the ball. Day wasn't a guy who beat guys off the dribble. He was a guy who got his feet down, had great shot preparation, used screens really well. And it's, you know, it takes some time for those guys to understand it because they're used to somebody just throwing the ball and then going and getting the bucket. And they can't do that now.
Along those lines, were you sort of limited in what you could take out of the Alcorn State game just because you did outman them so clearly across the floor?
I thought it was good for our young guys to play. I mean, it's good for Pat to be able to play significant minutes. I thought it was really good for Kevin Oreen's confidence. You know, he was struggling, I think, a little bit with his confidence. I think it was good for him. And honestly, the truth of the matter is if we're going to put 5,000 people in here, then I would play those people all the time. I mean, you know, you play a great schedule because you think that's what people want to see.
Is there so much more to learn about the game today than when you played in the mid-'70s?
Well, the game's harder now, Nick, because there's less room, because everybody's so big.
Does that mean there's a lot more to learn?
You have to do it under a lot more duress, I think. I think there's so much more ball pressure. You know, you think that our guys really played hard when I played, and then you go back and you look at games from the 70s. So, you know, ESPN Classic, some nights I'm bored, you know, can't sleep. A lot of nights I can't sleep. But anyway, you look at those, there's not near the ball pressure. You know, it's akin to a quarterback who's constantly somebody in his face trying to throw the ball. And that's what you have today. People don't stand off of people the way they used to. I had to, or they ran around me. You know, I had an excuse, but the rest of them didn't. I was slow. So.
Do you think we need 4 officials per game now?
I think if we had one good one and put him on a podium in the middle of the floor like they do volleyball, it'd be a lot better. I think if you gave me a podium like volleyball has and stood me right there, I could get more calls right.
I'm inclined to agree with you.
Just talk about going down to Charleston and just playing down there in the atmosphere.
Well, you know, I've always loved going to Charleston because, you know, it's sold out, and you know, people are enthusiastic. I mean, it's been a great crowd. You know, I think ticket sales are down now, but I mean, this will be the first time if we don't sell it out that we haven't sold it out in Charleston since I've been here. And you know, and the truth of the matter is we probably should go there more. I mean, people aren't going to come here, then we should go to them. I'm like Oral Roberts, man. I just don't like performing to half-filled arenas. I mean, that's not. And I've said it a lot. I mean, if we're going to be somebody, I came home to make this, to try to help make this, something special.
Don't you think holidays have something to do with that?
Doesn't in Lawrence, Kansas. Doesn't have anything to do with it in Lawrence, Kansas. Lawrence, Kansas, they're going to put 18,000 people in there.
Even the December.
All the time, Mick. Every game.
Thanksgiving.
Every game.
Well, here it's always been a factor in December.
It's not a factor in Charleston. We've gone down to Charleston when we weren't in school, and we filled it up down there.
That's because they don't see you that much.
Well, they don't see us much here either. There's about 5,000 of them that see us all the time.
You're drawing more people now than ever before.
Yeah, but that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is if we want to really be elite, you think they have a problem if they played Thanksgiving during turkey dinner in Kentucky, they'd fill the place. They'd plan around it. I mean, that's the way it is. And you know, I understand people can't come to every game. Give your tickets away.
Coach, I can remember when tickets were $2.50 today.
Well, I can remember when gas was 30 cents too, but
for Friday's football game, it's $78. A friend of mine bought 6 tickets.
But Nick, it's inflation. I mean,
right?
I can remember when gas was 29 cents too.
Coach's salaries.
Now it's $3 a gallon. And I'm not that old. I guess I am.
It says $1 million salaries, Coach, and invariably had to come down to customers, ticket buyers. And remember.
But I'm going to tell you something, Nick. There's never been a coach who went in and asked for $1 million. They offered it to us.
I know that, and that was a mistake.
So it's not coach's fault. If they offered any of y'all a raise, you'd take it.
Yeah.
Any of you.
Yeah, sure. Oh,
and,
no,
and
I'm
so
not blaming you.
It comes down. I don't care if you blame me or not. I'm just saying, it comes down to it's supply and demand. And if you're good, you get paid for what you do. If you're not any good, you get fired.
But see, a lot of people forget, Coach, that these economic straits today are the roughest for our country since the Great Depression. And I was a teenager during the Great Depression. I know what it was.
I agree with that, Mick, but I'm going to tell you what I don't agree with. When you're talking, coaches had tenure. So they didn't get fired. They may not coach, but they always had a job because they were tenured. And you ask the majority of coaches, they'd rather be tenured than get fired after 3 or 4 years. So it's, you know, you give up one thing to get something else. But that's America. And the truth of the matter is that America is supposed to be the free enterprise system, and people are supposed to get paid for what they do. The problem is we're paying them for what they don't do. That's the truth. And that's why we're in the shape that we're in, because we pay so many people to do nothing.
Safe to say.
So for me to apologize to guys that are out working 7 days a week, I'm not going to.
Safe to say that this is by design to do this on Thanksgiving break, though, with the students not in town to go down there.
Charleston, yeah. To go to Charleston, and the fans are great there. I mean, I think they've been unbelievable. I mean, we were walking in, they were standing in line, got turned away. How many times? I love going to Charleston.
You mentioned playing more games there in the future. What do you have to do to get that accomplished?
It's just schedule games there. Yeah, it's pretty simple, really. You know, but you hear from people here, you know, we want the good games here. Well, you know, they'd like to have some good games too. That's why I did what I did with Kansas State, to be able to take a really good team, a really high-profile game to Charleston. That was the intent behind playing Kansas State and Wichita and having them come to Charleston. They deserve that.
How do you fix it here? Any big ideas for how?
I don't know. You know, I just think it's a culture. You know, it's a culture. And again, I understand. You know, you can't come to every game. I understand that. Give your tickets to somebody else. There are people all the time. There's people everywhere. We had a guy calling on the radio, want to know how he could get those tickets that people didn't use. You know, people will come if there's tickets.
Did you think building the culture would be a quicker process here than what it has been?
Yeah, I did.